While we're only 3 games into the start of the NBA season, I got a kind of glaring concern when it comes to the Chicago Bulls, and it's just me being a little bit cautious. And we talk a little bit about that today, and we're going to dive into the mailbag. All that and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bulls news and content.
What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today, y'all. Good morning, by the way. I want to start off with this. There are some things that are starting to concern me. Again, this is early. Everything right now with the caveat of it could very well work itself out over time. But there are a couple of things that I'm starting to notice with the Chicago Bulls, either with their rotations or whatever else, that just have me worried that, hey, we need to start righting the ship on this. And depending on how long it could take, it can make it even more of a rough start for the Chicago Bulls, already in one of the toughest starting schedules in the NBA. And so because of that, when you look at this, right, I want to start off with talking about Ayo Dosunmu. Now, I know this is not something that everybody's going to agree with when it comes down to it. But again, this is something that with the schedule getting tougher for the Chicago Bulls, while we finish our first week of the season, next week we face Memphis, Orlando, Brooklyn, and Utah, right? That's over what we do over our next 4 games. Now, while the Brooklyn game, I'm not too worried about. Utah has been a tough matchup for us. Memphis and Orlando for sure to start off next week on Monday and Wednesday. Going to be tough matchups. And then after that, we go to Dallas, Minnesota, Atlanta, Cleveland, New York, Cleveland, Houston. That's all throughout the middle of November. It's going to be a very difficult schedule for the Bulls. And because of that, listen, some of these things that are glaring, it just makes me a little concerned. So the first thing that I want to talk about is Ayo Dosunmu. What's up with Ayo Dosunmu, specifically offensively? I think we've still seen Ayo Dosunmu be very engaged defensively, very solid defensively. I think those things have all still been there when it comes to Ayo Dosunmu. So for that, I'm not too overly worried about Ayo as far as him being able to impact games. But when you look at last year and the offensive growth that Ayo Dosunmu had and how consistent he was as well down the stretch of that season, Ayo Dosunmu's offense is starting to just be something that we need. We need that coming off the bench. And with Ayo playing that 6-man role, a big part of what I look for is that would benefit him is him being able to be that scorer off the bench and being able to bring some shooting off the bench. And the shooting has been atrocious so far. 6 for 25 to start the season overall, and 1 for 16 from three-point range. Ayo Dosunmu is not just shooting bad. This would be one of the worst shooting stretches of Ayo Dosunmu's career, right? When you look at it, he's shooting 24% on the season from the field and 6% from three-point range. It would be 0 if he didn't hit 1. He's only hit 1 three-pointer all season. Now, he's still chipping in almost 5 rebounds, almost 5 assists, right? And then if you actually watch the game, you know he's engaged defensively, so I'm not too worried about that aspect of things. But Ayo Dosunmu's offense, just because we need it, and a team that it doesn't have much three-point shooting consistently. When you look at Ayo last year taking 4 three-pointers per game and hitting that at a 40% clip, we need that Ayo Dosunmu here. And while he's playing less minutes, he's around 25 minutes per game. He was 29 minutes last season. Again, that's mainly started when it came down to that. Those 12 points per game that Ayo Dosunmu had last year and 16 points per games that he had as a scorer, they're just not there. And the Bulls could really use that offensive production. So when it comes to Ayo Dosunmu and the step back it looks like he's taking offensively, the question that I have there, is it role or is it position, right? And I think those are two very different things, right? The role that you're asked to play is different from the position that you're asked to play, because you can play a role in multiple different positions. And so with Ayo being the only other defensive stopper theoretically that the Bulls have, is that kind of a scheme thing? Is Billy Donovan not really running the same type of offensive actions that he ran for Ayo Dosunmu last year, which Ayo had a lot of opportunities in transition. He got a lot of opportunities to go downhill. We used him as a slasher. He finished around the rim, pretty solidly as well. Or is this more so a thing where he just isn't able to get in his rhythm because of who he's playing with coming off that bench? Last year, playing a lot of minutes with Kobe White, right? Playing a lot of minutes with DeMar DeRozan. So his scoring he was always able to be really a complimentary scorer when it comes down to it. And now that you're absolutely relying on that scoring, Well, theoretically, because again, when you even look at the number of shots, it's down. Ayo Dosunmu was only averaging 8.3 shots per game, which is down over a shot from last year, and it's only a little bit a shot over what he did his sophomore year. So it's like I said, is it roll or fit, right? Is the lineups that he's out there with not really complementing his game? Or is this just how Billy Donovan is using Ayo Dosunmu to start the season while he's looking to still get this offense and other players in rhythm, things like that? That's something to look out for. But it is a question there, right? And again, I'm not saying that I don't trust Ayo. Ayo's still a dog. He's still a player that's going to find a way to impact the game. He's going to do all these things. But with Ayo's shooting being as bad as what it is and how much the Bulls really could use that shooting right now, it's something to look out for, right? So 3 games into the season, let's watch and monitor how Ayo Dosunmu's offense continues to grow for this team, because we need that offense. We need that to be locked in. And if it is, it helps this team so much to get that version of Ayo Dosunmu. So let's hope that we're able to get that. Let's hope we're able to do that. And if we are, things can start turning around for this Bulls team to where maybe we can start getting the Ayo that we all kind of want to see and that we came accustomed to seeing last season. And if we do that, hey, I'm not going to be too mad at it. Another one that I want to talk about so far, right, is Tory Craig. Why is no Tory Craig the right decision? And other people have pointed this out and asked, hey, why aren't we playing Tory Craig? And while personally I am happy that we're seeing the youth movement, I talked about that yesterday. We're seeing a lot of the young players, average a lot of minutes right now. They need those developmental minutes, right? Like coming into the season, we knew that development was going to be a big part of it. But if the Bulls are trying to win basketball games, is playing Tory Craig the right decision? Are they trying to avoid Tory Craig getting hurt so other teams around the league are maybe going to call about Tory Craig, and maybe give up a second, whatever that is? But is no Tory Craig the right decision? And the only reason why I say that, it's not like Tory Craig is like this amazing player or anything like that, but he is a solid role player that understands how and where to complement other players on the floor, right? And so you need some of that. While this offense is still trying to work out its kinks, the question is maybe instead of when Lonzo does not play, maybe instead of using now, Tory Craig's skill set is very different from Lonzo's ball. So I'm not saying that he brings that same skill set. But, we saw Dalen Terry play more minutes when Lonzo wasn't playing. Maybe instead of that, maybe it should be Tory Craig absorbing some of those Lonzo minutes and just get him out there in a couple of stretches where maybe you have some of the younger guys out there and you can have a veteran piece that can kind of communicate, kind of, do and fit in where he needs to do. Maybe even Tory Craig can get that kind of role where, hey, when these young guys are out there and they're not really scoring or having success, he's the guy that can go out there and try to get us a bucket, right? So, this is something that I just noticed and just want to look at. The fact that Tory Craig has not checked into a single game yet. You got players like THT as well, who has checked into a game for the Bulls, has checked into every game, is averaging 4.3 minutes. Modest Busilla is averaging 7 minutes per game, right? These are all things that these players are doing that we're not really seeing the success that we want to see. And so you got to look at that and ask yourself, is this the right decision that we're seeing from these players? So that's something to look out for as well, just kind of the balance. And overall, Billy Donovan in the coaching job, what he's doing with the rotations, is that the right thing? Is that really what we're trying to get out of these players? Is Billy Donovan playing the rotations that's going to get the most out of these players, right? These are type of things that we're looking for and asking from the Bulls right now. And those are just some of the few questions to look out for from this team as we continue to develop and come out of this, right? So like the Tory Craig, the rotation with the players, are we balancing out the young guys enough to where they're having opportunities to grow their game, right? That's something that we're looking for as well. And if they are having those opportunities, if they are being put in the right spots, are they getting the right things out of it, right? So that's something that you also want to look for from the Chicago Bulls team. And if that's the case, then things are going to go all right for the Bulls. We'll see. Listen, the fact that we've seen some good quarters from the Bulls, you saw a really good game against the Bucks. There's still a lot of potential here with this team, but overall, it's the way that they maximize it, right? And, Billy Donovan and the coaching staff, I gave them a lot of props after the second game, but we got a lot of things that we still need to grow and that we still need to be doing better as well. As far as a team, we have to be better in certain aspects and areas of the game. And so, listen, the start of the season is really meant and it's built around figuring out the answers to questions, right? And you're not going to eliminate them all. C-Dub said yesterday on the pregame show, and he pointed it out really well, you still want to really, give this team 10 or 15 games, right? To really try to start working out some kinks that they are with the offense and things like that. And if they can do that, then things can start going in the right direction for them. But if they are staying in this area where a lot of things are going to just be difficult for them, it's going to be a tough season for them. So we already knew there was going to be different defensive limitations. We knew that there were going to be times where we couldn't score the ball, that the shooting from three was going to be difficult, even though we're trying to take more from them. And Kobe and Zach are still balancing. Kobe hasn't been the most consistent. It's been more inconsistencies than consistencies from Kobe scoring the ball as well. And so we got to try to get those things underway and in gear. And if we can do that, it's going to pay off big for the Bulls, right? We just got to get to that area of being able to do that consistency. And if we can, we'll start growing and developing some, right? So we just got that time. We got those things that we need to do better. And let's hope that we're able to. But with that said, it is Sunday. So that means it is Mailbag Day. Let's go ahead and get into these voicemails. This one's from 8 Lives.
What's going on here? It's your boy 8 Lives, C-Red. I just want to state what I feel like I sing. Not like I know something, but just from what I sing. First of all, one of the things I like about Giddey is that when we need a bucket, he can go to the rim and kind of finish or get the foul call. That's cool. But his defense is atrocious, of course. But the lineup with Kobe, Zach, and Giddey is going to be rough on us because there's no help defense when those guys are in the lineup like that. Also, Patrick is making a lot of turnovers. So the star lineup is cool, but we got to really be on point because they can't help each other on defense. So when I see that Booth really played good when Ayo or Ball come in here, and for his defensive efficiency, Ayo and Ball can really help him. I like what I see when I think that they could help him out there. Kobe and just the whole team, you could tell. If you could look and tell that they trying to play fast, it's not going to be right. They're going to have to smoothen that out. That's why they just kind of frantically playing. So I kind of give them that little excuse on the first game. Like, I could tell that they were trying to play fast. It had to be a little bit more smoother. When the coach see that Zach is hot like he is, he has to, start making, making plays for Zach. And Kobe and Zach are going to have to get used to both being successful on the offensive side. They don't have to just stop playing just because the other one hot. They both can just keep going back and forth. Also, Justin Phillips might take Patrick's starting spot because Patrick is kind of, maybe he's going to slow it up and smoothen it out, but he's kind of frantically playing too. They all seem a little bit overconfident, to be honest with you. Boots should definitely be starting, but I just like it better when Ayo and Ball play with him, like I said. A few more other things that I've seen. Oh, yeah, of course, like you said, he's going to have to put a little bit more structure with those lineups. Playing 11 people, we're not that good yet. Some fiddles going to have to be hurt. There might be some injuries or whatever the case may be, and then somebody can get their play, but we're not that good enough to just have that many players just scattered all around everywhere. I do want to see everybody play, but we're going to need a little bit more structure with that. So, and Zach needs to find him a spot on the court when we need to get a point. Not that long Hail Mary 3. He needs to find a spot like DeMar somewhere on the court we can go and get a 2-pointer. I'll be here for the next game. Hey, Live, C-Red.
Kobe, Zach, and Giddey. It is going to be a rough defensive matchup. And we knew that coming into. We have no communicator out there with those guys in that starting lineup. We have no real defense in that starting lineup. That's why it's going to have to come through them executing like the 2-3 zones and those type of things really, really well. And if they can do that, those are going to be the things that really help this team get to where they need to get to. So, yeah, you have to balance it. And so we don't have the team makeup to have a really good defensive team. We can be solid in our fundamentals. We can be solid in our execution, and hope from that is going to come some solid enough basketball to take advantage over how we're pacing ourselves offensively. But it's just going to be difficult. It's going to be really freaking difficult, right? We just can't overlook that. And so we're looking for that rhythm from Kobe and Zach specifically as our 1 and 2 punch. They're leading us in minutes as well. Like, you want to see that balance from them. And until we get that, it's just going to be a continued rough go. We're just going to keep running ourselves into the same situations. And that's what we're seeing with this Bulls team right now. They are running and hitting their heads on walls just because of the turnovers, the sloppiness, those type of things. And we got to get that. Now, as far as Julian Phillips over Patrick Williams, again, I'm not going to say yay or nay. I just think there's going to be a long time. Billy Donovan is going to give this team the opportunity to really work out the kinks, right? And so we'll start seeing if changes in that lineup start at that point in time. We'll see. It's just something to look out for. All right, let's get into this next voicemail. This one's from Michael Korn.
Hey, Haize. Michael Korn here. After these last 3 weeks, I think what I've learned personally is I got to do a better job of managing my expectations regarding this Bulls team. But thanks for excellent coverage and analysis for the opener. One thing, Ayo only got 25 minutes of run in, and I want to know your thoughts about that. I really think I'd love to see him out there like 32, 35 minutes. I don't know if Billy Donovan is capable of incorporating him into the offense for that many minutes with everyone they have on the roster right now. But anyway, I would like to know your thoughts about seeing Ayo getting more time, more run. Hey, thanks a lot.
Managing your expectations as a Bulls fan is key. You got to manage your expectations with this team. If you don't manage those expectations, it's going to be difficult, right? It's going to be ugly. So you got to manage those expectations. Now, as far as when it comes to Kobe, Zach, and Vooch, as far as the minutes for Ayo Dosunmu, Kobe, Zach, and Vooch are the only players averaging over 30 minutes. With Giddey, P. Will, and Ayo, the only players over 25 minutes. All the other role players are getting 15 minutes or less, right? And only really a couple of them are even sniffing close to that 15-minute mark. Everything else is being spread out. And because of that, you got Lonzo Ball when he's there at 14 and a half minutes. You got Jalen Smith at 14.3. You got Julian Phillips at 13.7. And then 7 for Modest Bucilis, 6 for Dalen Terry, 4 for Taylor Horton-Tucker. So right now, the more minutes for Ayo Dosunmu are probably going to come when Lonzo Ball isn't playing. But even then, Ayo has to play better. He has to be a better two-way threat than what he's been so far through this young part of the season for Ayo to really get more minutes. But I think the more run for Ayo Dosunmu is coming, it's just probably going to come when Zoe is sitting down and in those games where Zoe isn't playing. That's kind of the way that I look at it. But Ayo got to be better for us to even have a realistic conversation when it comes here. And, we'll see how that grows and develops over time. But listen, like I said at the start of the show, I'm a little concerned about Ayo Dosunmu, but maybe more balance, maybe more minutes. It helps those things, and we'll see what comes down with that. All right, let's get into this next voicemail. This one's from Bastion.
What's up, Haize? Bastion here. Looking forward for a victory tonight from the Bulls, but I think it's going to be super difficult to get. They're coming off that back-to-back, or they're on the back end of that back-to-back, and I just think the Thunder is one of the best defensive teams in the league. So they got a little lucky last night with the Bucks. They played a great game, but the Bucks are slow and their defense is not that crisp. So let's see what the Bulls do when they don't have those wide open shots. See what happens to their offense when they pressure more. I'm hoping for the best, but I think it's going to be tough. Otherwise, I think the season is going to be up and down for the Bulls. But I think that they have a chance to get over 35 wins. I know everyone's saying 27, 28, but I think they have a good chance to get over 35. All right, Haize, you have a good one.
Here's what I'll say, Bastion, is that it's been weird, right? And I get it that you left this before last night's game, but the Bulls missing wide open shots. The Bulls taking advantage of the Bucks being slow on defense. Like, it's good that the Bulls are able to take advantage of a team's weakness because, like I said yesterday, we haven't always been in a spot where the Bulls have actually taken advantage of things that we should have been able to take advantage of with teams. But overall, man, like you saying that this team could win over 35 games, then you see a game like last night against a playoff and a championship contender. Now, there's a large margin between the Thunder and the Milwaukee Bucks, right? There are teams that are going to face all between that, and even between the Bucks and the OKC Thunder and the Pelicans, right? But when you don't execute, it's going to put you in a situation that you're behind the 8 ball and trying to win basketball games. And as long as that happens, man, that's going to be something. So, overall, let's hope that, this team, that we start seeing more of what we saw against the Bucks than more of what we saw against like the Thunder in the second half against the Pelicans. But right now, we have not realistically seen enough from either the good or the bad to just know exactly who this team is going to be. This team has a chance to be really good, right? I think anybody saying that this team is just adamantly going to only win 28 games, we haven't seen enough of that. For people who think that this team could win 40-plus games, we definitely haven't seen enough to just solidify that either. This team is still a mixed bag. This team is still trying to figure itself out. This team is still really hard to judge what and who they're going to be over this season. And because of that, it's going to be ugly, man. It's going to be ugly. So we're going to have some ugly stretches, but the benefit of it is by the middle of November, with the teams that we face, hey, it's going to be trial by fire. They're either going to bust pipes or build diamonds with this team. And let's hope that it's diamonds that they built, because if it's busting pipes, hey, man, it's going to be weird. But all right, let's get into this last voicemail. This one's from Shay.
What's up, guys? It's Shay. Look, man, I don't care if we start going on a winning streak. If a good deal is presented for Zach LaVine, I know y'all gonna say Nikola Vucevic, yeah, him too, but especially for Zach LaVine, we definitely gotta trade him. Look, I understand. I get people are gonna say, okay, cool. Zach is having a good season for us so far, but at the same time, let's not forget what the goal is, man. If we can get something for him, I mean, let's not kid ourselves and be stupid and just fall in love with what he's doing right now. The goal is still to trade him for some draft capital. If the good deal comes along, you still take it at the end of the day. Anyway, that's all I got to say.
All right, so if a good deal presented itself with Zach, Nikola Vucevic as well, I know that as fans and as looking at this team, it's fair to say that the goal is trading those guys. And maybe that's still the case, but we can't say that for sure, right? And that's why I said at the beginning of the season, there is a chance and an aspect of this team where Zach LaVine may be here for the long run. Now, Vooch is playing really well. So if you're looking for Vooch to be increasing trade value, his play is really, really kind of doing that. So, we can see how that develops over time as well. But we got some things that we definitely need to work on. We got some things that, that aren't quite clear yet. Now, should the Bulls be looking to trade Zach if the deal's right? Yes. Should they be looking to trade Nikola Vucevic if the deal's right? Yes. And I think when it comes down to it, that if you can get the picks for these guys, which I think you're going off that article by Bleacher Report is what can you get for your veteran pieces? You gotta look at it. Vooch, Zach, Tory Craig, those are some pieces that the Bulls could be looking to dangle between now and the trade deadline. And if they can get multiple first and second or whatever back, they probably would take that deal, and they probably should, right? Now, if this team looks like it's going to be exceeding expectations, maybe then you don't, right? But right now, it's really hard to call, Shay. So it could really go either way, but we'll see. And that's the point of the season. The season will tell us what they're doing. The season will dictate a lot. Make sure you guys are following the show at Bull Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, bullcentralpod@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, but that's thanks to you guys. And like I like to end every episode on, go Bulls. Love you guys. See Red if you can, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.